So we're going to cross live now to Abuja, speaking of fuel, where the Joint Petroleum Committee is holding a one-day conference at the old chamber. Let's take a listen.
Agenda, our challenges and successes, is both apt and compelling. It speaks directly to the evolving security architecture required to confront the complex and adaptive threats posed by crude oil theft, pipeline vandalism, and illegal bunkering. Distinguished participants, the Nigeria Police Force, as the lead internal security agency, plays a pivotal role in the protection of critical national assets, including oil and gas infrastructure. Through the IGP Special Task Force on Illegal Bunkering and Oil Vandalism, the force has intensified intelligence-led operations targeting criminal networks involved in crude oil theft and associated economic sabotage. These operations have led to significant breakthroughs, including the dismantling of illegal refining sites, interception of stolen petroleum products, arrest and prosecution of offenders, and disruption of supply chains, sustaining these illicit activities. Beyond enforcement, the force has strengthened community engagement strategies in host communities, recognizing that sustainable security of pipelines must be anchored on local cooperation and trust. However, it is important to acknowledge that the challenge of crude oil theft is multifaceted. It is driven by organized criminal syndicates, transnational networks, economic incentives, and at times local grievances. Addressing it, therefore, requires a whole of government and whole of society approach. In this regard, the Nigeria Police Force continues to work in close synergy with sister security agencies, particularly the Nigeria Navy, the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps, NSCDC, and the DSS, and other critical stakeholders, including licensed pipeline surveillance contractors engaged by the federal government. This collaborative framework has enhanced maritime domain awareness, improved response coordination, and strengthened operational outcomes. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, while we celebrate measurable successes, we are not unmindful of the persisting challenges. These include difficult terrains in the Niger Delta region, evolving tactics of criminal elements, gaps in surveillance infrastructure, and the need for sustained technological investment in monitoring and protection systems. The Nigeria Police Force remains committed to continuously reviewing and strengthening its operational strategies. We are prioritizing intelligence fusion, capacity building of specialized units, deployments of modern surveillance technologies, and aligning and deepening interagency collaboration. Furthermore, we are aligning our efforts with the federal government's renewed hope agenda by ensuring that improved security of oil infrastructure translates into increased production, reduced losses, and enhanced national prosperity. Let me also commend the National Assembly for providing this important legislative and oversight platform. Your continued support in terms of policy direction, resource allocation, and legal frameworks is critical to sustaining the gains recorded and addressing emerging threats. In conclusion, the Nigeria Police Force reaffirms its unwavering commitment to the protection of Nigeria's critical energy structure. We will continue to adapt, collaborate, and innovate in our commitment to combat crude oil theft and secure our pipelines for the benefits of all Nigerians. On behalf of the Inspector General of Police and the Nigeria Police Force, I thank you all for your attention and wish this roundtable fruitful deliberations. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Before we continue with the representation from heads of security agencies. I've been reliably informed that the representative of the Honorable Speaker has some equally important engagements to attend to. At this point, permit me to invite the Speaker of the 10th House of Representatives of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, PhD, GCON, ably represented by the capable and very hard-working leader of the House of Representatives, Honorable Professor Julius Nwowere, CON, DSSRS, the Segede one of our land. May we please appreciate him.
Good morning, everyone. Ordinarily, I would be apologizing for coming late, but I don't think I came late. I got here just before 10. There was no light. I couldn't get to my office on the 4th floor, so I went back home. Now that we can access the building. Normally, when we tell people outside the problems of this building, they say National Assembly, you always want more money. You saw the broken tires as you came in. We are lucky if you are not caught in the elevator. Light is a problem, but the struggle continues. I'm standing in here for the Speaker who... Thank you. I'm standing in here for the Speaker, Right Honorable Abbas Tajuddin, GCON, who is unavoidably absent, dealing with some other national matters. And he has given me an address to present to you. So kindly allow me, distinguished senators and members, my colleagues in the House, chairpersons of the relevant committee, Honorable Garumwe and Honorable Ikenga, the service chiefs and other dignitaries that are present, let me say another good morning to you all. I will now proceed to read the address of the Right Honorable Speaker. It is my singular honor and privilege to welcome you all to the first ever Parliamentary Roundtable on the state of the pipeline surveillance contract, crude oil theft, and celebration of the success stories that have been recorded in this crucial industry. I must thank the joint Senate and House committees on petroleum resources for organizing this all-important event and giving it such massive attention. It is instructive that this roundtable is happening at a time when the global energy landscape is under intense pressure. The ongoing tensions in the Middle East and the protracted conflict involving Russia and Ukraine have once again reminded us that despite valiant efforts at finding alternative energy sources, crude oil still remains the largest source of primary energy in the world, especially the transport sector, where it still powers 95% of all vehicles, planes, and ships. The current crisis, particularly with the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, has resulted in price surges and supply shortages with consequential impact on our economic survival. As a nation, we must rise to the challenge, and this roundtable is a clear indication that the National Assembly is ready to lead the way. First, in order to understand why the surveillance contract became necessary, we must remember that Nigeria's journey as an oil-producing nation has been a very challenging one. The discovery of petroleum has both earned us massive foreign exchange and resulted in environmental degradation and despair. As a result, the Niger Delta has witnessed profound agitations over the years, which often resulted in pipeline vandalism, crude oil theft, and illegal refining activities. Desperate communities and weak enforcement structures created a climate of instability in the oil sector with staggering consequences. At some point, Nigeria was losing billions of dollars annually as between 10 to 30% of crude oil production was lost to theft, undermining national revenue and interventions were designed to provide security to our oil facilities with the understanding that without the help of the communities where these pipelines and other infrastructure were located, the job of securing them would be impossible. In the end, energy of private surveillance providers, our security agencies, and community engagement led to remarkable improvements in our daily production quotas. There are clear success stories, undeniable and compelling. Recent reports indicate that most of the illegal tapping points have been dismantled. Production levels have improved significantly, and oil receipts are approaching near total delivery to export terminals, compared to the alarming losses of previous years, where production sometimes plummeted to about suggests that crude oil theft still occurs at concerning levels, sometimes even under existing security arrangements. This underscores the need for continuous oversight and reform. Distinguished colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, as usual, the National Assembly has remained at the forefront of confronting these challenges. Through legislation, oversight, and appropriation, we have taken deliberate steps to strengthen Nigeria's response to threats into our oil industry. We have enacted and reviewed laws such as the Petroleum Production and Distribution Anti-Sabotage Act and other relevant statutes aimed at deterring pipeline vandalism, while in placing stringent penalties. We have also worked to strengthen institutions like the National Oil Spill Detection and Response Agency, recognizing the need for improved monitoring and environmental accountability. Both are the fruits of comprehensive and deliberate policy actions that were enabled by the passing of the landmark Petroleum Industry Act. Some of the provisions of this act, like the Host Community Development Trust, made corporate social responsibility a legal mandate and gave host communities a direct financial stake in the profitability of the oil sector. Moreover, by legislating that communities forfeit their entitlement for the year if vandalism occurs in their domain, the law operationalized the concept of shared responsibility. Communities now police their own areas, knowing that an attack on the pipeline becomes an attack on their trust fund. The 10th National Assembly has continued to take bold legislative steps to institutionalize the gains of the PIA. In sum, we have consistently emphasized that curbing crude oil theft must be a collective responsibility involving government, host communities, security agencies, and private operators alike. Today's event is therefore another opportunity to advance the fortunes of our oil industry by consolidating on the gains we have made so far from the surveillance contract, while addressing the existing gaps. Distinguished colleagues, I urge you to use this roundtable as a forum to assess the current pipeline surveillance architecture, strengthen transparency and accountability mechanisms, deepen community engagement as critical stakeholders in protecting national assets, and align legislative frameworks with emerging realities in the oil and gas sector, particularly under the circumstances the world has now found itself in. As we deliberate, let us remember that the story of Nigeria's oil sector is not only one of challenges, but also of resilience and possibility. Let us build a system where pipelines are no longer targets, but symbols of shared prosperity, where host communities are not marginalized, but empowered partners, and where Nigeria's oil wealth translates into sustainable national development. In short, let us demonstrate that progress is achievable when policy, partnership, and political will align. I cannot stress enough the importance of this roundtable at this period. The Middle East turmoil is in turmoil, Russia is distracted, and global energy maps have been redrawn. The world is looking for energy security, and Nigeria must put itself out there as a credible alternative. We cannot afford the luxury of internal sabotage. Our message to the world is clear. Nigeria is securing its assets, stabilizing its output, and is open for business. I urge participants to engage with candor, patriotism, and a shared commitment to reform. The decisions we make here will shape not only the future of our oil sector, but the economic destiny of our nation. It is now my privilege to declare this roundtable open. Thank you, and God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. The Speaker of the House of Representatives, ably represented by the Leader of the House of Representatives. Thank you, sir. May I quickly inform this gathering that this event is live on AIT, Arise, TVC, and Channels Television. At this point, Your Excellencies, distinguished senators, honorable members, distinguished invited stakeholders, members of the pen profession, ladies and gentlemen, permit me to invite the President of the Senate, distinguished Senator Godswill Obot Akpabio, GCON, ably represented by distinguished Senator Jimo Ibrahim, CFR. Let's appreciate him, please. Thank you.
Let me stand on the system protocol and bring the greetings from the President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, who also double as the Chairman of the National Assembly. He is supposed to be here, obviously, and they count this gathering as very significant to national discourse, but unavoidably couldn't be able to make it, and they have asked me to represent him here. And I must extend greetings to every member of Parliament, particularly distinguished senators and members of House of Representatives, representatives of agency of government, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen. The Senate President has instructed, I talked about the peace of the pipeline. The peace of the pipeline. This is a pivotal edifice for national development and economic growth of our dear nation. And the central of his speech is on cooperation and collaboration. The Senate President insists that every stakeholder must collaborate with the brief of the security agency in securing security or the peace of the pipeline. He's more concerned about this and has detailed in Mr. President's speech about the needs to ensure that we have the peace of the pipeline. The Nigerian government, neither the Senate, will compromise anything in defiance of this. So it's very important that we all know that the peace of the pipeline is important to economic growth. And he has received detailed brief from the security agencies about what is required, what challenges are there, and of course, the purpose of this meeting is to actually gather, to have your insights into that capital and social network connection, to understand and detailed knowledge, into what can be done. Lastly, President Bola Tinubu, in his presentation to the National Assembly of the national budget, reiterates the importance of the surveillance of the pipeline in order to increase production per day of our crude oil. And this is sacrosanct to economic development. This is the source of revenue. And at the National Assembly, the Senate President, asks for the collaboration of everyone to make meaningful laws that reflects this basic objective of ensuring adequate budget provision for the security agencies in order to secure the pipelines and ensure, like I said earlier, the peace of the pipeline in accordance with the thesis of Mr. President. Lastly, the Senate President also noted that every action taken by the executive, headed by President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, will be supported by the National Assembly in ensuring that we have the peace of the pipeline and that our economic growth is at best on the high line, given even the ecosystem. Senate President insists that the ecosystem must work together collaboratively and collectively in order to achieve the desire of Mr. President's needs to increase production, like the chairman of gas said, from 1.1 million barrels per day to 1.6 million barrels per day. And the desire of Mr. President of Nigeria is to have production increase to 2.1 million barrels per day. And we must achieve this. This is also very achievable. We want to thank every stakeholder, thank everybody here, and we look forward, the Senate President look forward to a smooth discussion that will lead to resolution of most of the teething area and the challenges. Good afternoon.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency, the President of the Senate, ably represented by Distinguished Senator Jimoh Ibrahim, CFR. Thank you, sir. This event has been declared open, and of course, we're going straight to the presentation. Permit me at this point, Your Excellency, to invite the Group Chief Executive Officer, NNPCL, Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, Engineer Bayo Bashir Ojulari. Thank you, sir. The chairman has directed that you take just 10 minutes for your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. The President of the Senate of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Speaker of the House of Representatives, Chairman of Senate Committee on Gas Resources, Petroleum Resources Upstream, Petroleum Resources Downstream, Chairman of House Committee on Petroleum Resources Downstream, Petroleum Resources Upstream, Midstream, and Gas Resources. Distinguished Senators, Honorable Members of the Senate and House of Representatives, the National Security Advisor, the Minister of Defense, the Minister of State Defense, Service Chiefs, Authority Chiefs of NMDPRA, MD of Tantita Security Services, distinguished ladies and gentlemen. I wish to express my profound appreciation to the National Assembly for conveying this high-level engagement and for the honor of addressing this distinguished gathering of policy leaders, regulators, and national security stakeholders. I'm grateful for the opportunity to brief this august body on an issue that lies in the very core of Nigeria's economic resilience, national stability, and long-term prosperity, namely our collective energy security. Energy security is not merely an operational concern for NNPC Limited. It is a strategic national imperative for an economy whose fiscal revenue, foreign exchange inflow, industrial productivity, and investor confidence remain inextricably linked to hydrocarbon, secure, reliable, and continuously available pipeline infrastructure. Is fundamental to sustaining our growth. At NNPC Limited, we recognize that production growth is impossible without security, and security itself cannot be achieved by any single institution acting in isolation. It demands deliberate, structured, and sustained collaboration. Across the national security architecture, the Office of the National Security Advisor, the armed forces and the intelligence agencies, regulators, state actors, host communities, and industry operators. This philosophy underpins our approach. I am pleased to report that the results of this collaborative model are now very evident. The debilitating era of widespread crude theft, systemic pipeline vandalism, pipeline outages, and suppressed production has been decisively reversed. Through coordinated action, particularly in the Niger Delta, pipeline availability and terminal receipts for crude oil have been restored to nearly 100% operational availability, a turnaround that would have been unthinkable just a few years ago. For context, national crude oil production declined to a historic low of approximately 960,000 barrels per day in August 2022, largely due to pervasive pipeline sabotage and theft. Interestingly, Nigeria average daily production in 2025 stood at approximately 1.71 million barrels per day, with a peak performance of 1.84 million barrels per day, representing almost doubling of output in under 4 years and the highest sustained production level in 5 years. This is a powerful, thank you very much. This is a powerful testament to what aligns policy, coordinated security action, and industry-government partnership can achieve when purposefully executed. This success was not accidental. It was achieved by dismantling silos and siloed and reactive legacy security frameworks and replacing them with integrated energy security model, one that combines legislative and executive policy alignment, actionable intelligence, kinetic deployment of capabilities, regulatory oversights, industry cooperation, and community-embedded surveillance mechanisms. In doing so, we have restored not only physical pipeline integrity, ladies and gentlemen, but also the industry's social license to operate. One of the most profound outcomes of this improved security environment has been the restoration of investor confidence in the Nigerian upstream sector. Projects that have stalled for years due to security and host community risk are now reaching final investment decisions, with operators demanding renewed willingness to deploy capital for asset restoration, marginal field development, and incremental production growth. This capital inflow trajectory positions Nigeria for a positive and sustained uplift in national output and revenues. In parallel, NNPC Limited continues to optimize its asset portfolio to extract maximum value for the Federation, while ongoing executive-level reforms, including the work of the Presidential Petroleum Reform Committee, are expected to further strengthen the enabling environment necessary to achieve our medium-term production. However, ladies and gentlemen, while significant ground has been recovered, we must be clear-eyed. The war for energy security is not over. As Nigeria experiences heightened global geopolitical tension that continue to exert upward pressure on crude oil price, the incentive for crude theft, illegal refinery, and associated criminality persists. Any relaxation of focus or fragmentation of our current collaboration could reopen vulnerabilities within the energy security ecosystem. Accordingly, I urge all our stakeholders, legislative, executive, security, regulatory, industry, and community leaders to sustain and institutionalize the collaborative framework that have delivered these gains. Supported by right-enabling policies, predictable enforcement, and continued intelligence-led operation, we must consolidate and deepen the progress that we have achieved. In closing, ladies and gentlemen, the enduring truth remains that our strength lies in our unity of purpose. Only through collective resolve can we safeguard Nigeria's energy assets, secure production growth, and ensure that the petroleum sector continue to serve as a catalyst for national economic development. On behalf of NNPC Limited, I thank the Joint Committee for this engagement and for the continued support we have enjoyed. We remain steadfastly committed to our mandate of managing Nigeria's oil and gas resources responsibly. securely, and profitably for the benefit of the present and future generation. Long live the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Group Chief Executive Officer, NNPCL. Thank you very much, sir. Your Excellency, at this point, permit me to invite the Chief of Defense Staff, Lieutenant General Oluyede, ably represented by the Chief of Defense Operations, Major General Jamal Abdulsalam. Thank you very much, sir. May we please appreciate him. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me correct the MC. The Chief of Defense Staff is General and not Lieutenant General. The chairs of the Senate and House of Representative Committees on Petroleum Resources, distinguished senators and members of the House of Representatives, invited guests, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I'm standing representing the Chief of Defense Staff, General O.O. Oluyede, who is unavoidably absent due to some official engagements. It is my privilege to brief this high-level forum on the renewed Hope Energy Security Agenda and the commitment of the Armed Forces of Nigeria to its realization, including our ongoing challenges and notable successes. The security of Nigeria's critical national energy infrastructure, particularly within the oil and gas sector, remains fundamental to national economic stability and growth. This imperative is further reinforced by the renewed Hope Energy Security Agenda of His Excellency President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, Grand Commander of the Order of the Federal Republic. This strategy is the energy security arm of His Excellency President Tinubu's broader renewed hope agenda, linking stable, secure energy supply to national security, economic diversification, and improved quality of life for Nigerians. In alignment with this vision, the Armed Forces of Nigeria have sustained a robust commitment to securing the nation's energy infrastructure as a catalyst for economic recovery and national development. It is against this backdrop that Joint Task Force South-South Operation Delta Safe was reinvigorated to address the complex and evolving security challenges within the Niger Delta region. These challenges include crude oil theft, pipeline vandalism, illegal refining, militancy, kidnapping, and other associated criminalities that determine national revenue and energy security. The mandate of the Joint Task Force is to protect oil and gas infrastructure, deter criminal activities, and create a secure environment for uninterrupted exploration and production activities. In the execution of this mandate, the Joint Task Force combines kinetic and non-kinetic approaches while maintaining close collaboration with key stakeholders, including the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, international oil companies, regulatory agencies, host communities, and sister security agencies. The security situation in the oil and gas sector in particular and the Niger Delta region in general was characterized with large-scale militant actions manifested in the incessant vandalism of oil pipelines, kidnapping of oil workers, spike in the activities of illegal oil bunkering, as well as community nuisance actions to impede the smooth workings of international oil companies and other stakeholders in the oil and gas sector. Additionally, there were reported cases of proliferation of illegal oil refineries in the region and occasional attacks on government intelligence and security agencies. Furthermore, the allegations of complacency and connivance involving personnel of some government agencies, including those of the security and intelligence agencies, were also reported. The manifestation of these security breaches resulted to low capacity in the daily production of oil, decline in the socio-economic activities of the Niger Delta, reduction of values in Nigeria's economic outlook, especially as it pertains to the internally generated revenue from the oil and gas sector, amongst numerous other consequences. The combined effects of these security breaches in the oil and gas sector and other related ones led to the dwindling of Nigeria's economy, poor infrastructural development, and increased agitation by various militant groups. Mr. Chairman, the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu recognized oil and gas as an important industry vital to both Nigeria's short-term economic survival and long-term prosperity and buoyancy. The sector must therefore play the lead role in generating foreign currency needed to help fund the nation's industrialization. The agenda also recognized that Nigeria struggles to meet its OPEC operational quota due primarily to oil theft and pipeline vandalism. It also noted that while a few malefactors have profited from these illegal activities, the economy and welfare of the average person suffered. Therefore, the critical focus areas of the renewed hope agenda are geared to create an industry which successfully utilizes its vast resources, takes advantage of high oil prices to generate necessary revenue for successful diversification, while ensuring self-sufficiency in meeting demand for petroleum products and eliminating the period of scarcity. The key objectives of the renewed hope agenda for oil and gas industry include an increase in domestic oil production, increase in indigenous participation and host community development, harnessing domestic gas potential and implementing policy reform. Others are ensuring the stability of petroleum product supply and increasing investment in infrastructure and technology. One of the key objectives of the renewed hope energy security agenda is the increase in crude oil production to 2.6 million barrels per day by 2027 and 4 million barrels per day by 2030. To achieve this goal, the renewed hope agenda duly recognized the prevention of crude oil theft, pipeline vandalism, as well as protection of crude oil infrastructure and assets. It therefore envisaged the establishment of special reinforcement and monitoring unit whose sole mandate will be to protect the nation's pipelines by deploying technology interventions towards curbing production interruptions in order to achieve the objectives of the agenda. On our part, the desire to combat threats to the oil gas sector, including illegal bunkering and crude oil theft, necessitated the operationalization of the Joint Intelligence Monitoring Center. The Joint Intelligence Monitoring Center operates directly under the Office of the Chief of Defense Staff and tasked to monitor, analyze, and produce actionable intelligence towards achieving the mandate of Operation Delta Safe, which is to curb oil theft and illegal bunkering in the Niger Delta. The levels of synergy between the components of the Joint Task Force, including the host state governors, was enhanced through deliberately orchestrated initiatives driven by the Chief of Defense Staff. Notable cases in point was the periodic stakeholders meeting involving all heads of defense, security, and intelligence agencies. Thereafter, similar meetings continued to hold periodically at strategic, operational, and tactical levels. Now a look at our achievements. Increase in oil production. The anti-crude oil theft efforts of the Joint Task Force during the period in consideration led to the increase in crude oil output from 900 million barrels per day to about 1.9 million barrels per day as at 2025. Nonetheless, the Joint Task Force is encouraged to sustain its anti-illegal oil bunkering efforts until the crime is reduced to a barest minimum or totally eliminated. Protection of oil and gas facilities. The Joint Force conducts static deployments, escort duties, and patrols around major oil and gas facilities. These deployments and patrols have drastically reduced third-party infractions at such facilities. As part of efforts to sustain the drive towards protecting oil facilities, the Joint Force partners with key oil industry players to secure the crude oil pipelines from activities of criminals. The partnership has so far yielded successes in reducing the menace of pipeline vandalism to a barest minimum. Currently, the Joint Force has been able to improve security around all major pipelines and facilities, sustaining the terminal factors of the Trans-Niger pipeline, Trans-Escravos pipeline, and Trans-Ramos pipeline, to above 95% in the last 3 months. The success of the Joint Task Force at protecting oil and gas infrastructure and reduction of crude oil theft activities has helped to increase the country's crude oil output. Now to non-kinetic operations. The JTF has built a strong relationship with pipeline private security companies, particularly Tantita, through the Joint Arms Boarding Team and fortnightly Operation Plug meetings with NNPCL, government security agencies, and other private security contractors. These efforts enhance collaboration and address common challenges in protecting oil and gas infrastructure. The Joint Force continues to effectively utilize non-kinetic conflicts containment and resolution mechanisms. Now, despite all these achievements, the armed forces of Nigeria also have some challenges, and the challenges border on inadequate gunboats, inadequate tactical drones, inadequate swarm bogies, and insufficient logistics supplies. In conclusion, the armed forces of Nigeria have demonstrated unwavering commitment to the protection of critical national energy infrastructure and the realization of the renewed hope agenda of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Through a combination of sustained kinetic and non-kinetic operations, the armed forces of Nigeria has achieved significant progress in reducing crude oil theft, enhancing oil production, and stabilizing the Niger Delta region. These successes highlight the importance of joint operations, stakeholder collaboration, and community engagement in addressing complex security challenges. Nonetheless, continued support in terms of resources, equipment, and policy direction is essential to sustain these gains and ensure a secure and prosperous energy sector for Nigeria. We want to thank Mr. President for his strategic guidance and continued support to the armed forces of Nigeria. The armed forces of Nigeria remains committed to ensuring security in every part of our country, as we pledge our unalloyed loyalty to the President and the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you, and God bless Nigeria.
Thank you very much, the representative of the Chief of Defense Staff. We thank you. Your Excellency, it is important to appreciate distinguished senators and honorable members that are here, despite the recess by the Senate and the House of Representatives. And Your Excellency, I want to tell you that they arrived very, very early. And of course, our stakeholders, we thank you all. Let's put our hands together for ourselves, please. Thank you. At this point, permit me to invite the Director General, State Services, Mr. Adeola Oluwatosin Ajayi, MON, ably represented by the Assistant Director General, Security Enforcement of the Services, Mr. Adedakpo Amao.
Distinguished Chairman of the Joint Committee on Petroleum Resources, distinguished members of the committee, distinguished senators, honorable members of the House of Reps, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I stand here to convey the goodwill message of the DGSS, in the person of Mr. Adeola Oluwatosin Ajayi, MON, on the role of intelligence in sustaining the protection of critical infrastructure for economic transformation and realization of renewed hope agenda. Let me state that the DGSS desired to be here, but unavoidably absent due to other pressing issues of national interest. He has therefore directed that I represent him and convey his message as follows. Distinguished lawmakers, worthy partners in the national security project, and fellow guardians of our national stability, good morning once again. As we gather here today, being the first ever parliamentary roundtable on the state of the pipeline surveillance contract. Crude oil theft and celebration of success stories. I extend my heartfelt appreciation to the highly revered and esteemed members of the National Assembly for this laudable initiative, particularly the unwavering support and oversight commitment in ensuring the protection of critical infrastructure from economic transformation and realization of renewed hope agenda. As widely acknowledged, the petroleum sector remains the backbone of Nigeria's economy, accounting for a significant proportion of government revenue and foreign exchange earning. In this context, the protection of critical infrastructure, such as petroleum pipelines, refinery, export terminals, and related facilities, is not merely a security concern, but a national economic imperative. Against this backdrop, intelligence plays a central role. It provides the foresight, situational awareness, and early warning mechanism required to prevent, detect, and respond to threats such as pipeline vandalism, oil theft, and other forms of economic sabotage. Building on this strategic function, notable successes have been recorded in recent years. These include enhanced interagency collaboration, deployment of surveillance technologies, and improved community engagement strategies, which have collectively strengthened the protection architecture of our critical assets. These efforts have led to disruption of organized criminal network involved in oil theft, with corresponding improvement in the country production outputs. Notwithstanding these gains, it is important to recognize that several challenges continue to impede optimal outputs. Chief among these are technological limitations in surveillance and monitoring systems, difficulty terrain, and operational constraints in key oil producing regions, as well as lingering socioeconomic grievances within host community, which further complicates security efforts. In view of these challenges, there is an urgent need to consolidate existing gains through a more integrated and forward-looking approach. These include investing in advanced surveillance and data analytic capabilities, as well as institutionalizing community-based intelligence frameworks anchored on trust and inclusivity. Equally important is the reinforcement of legal and policy instruments to ensure swift prosecution, alongside sustained capacity building for security personnel engaged in intelligence and infrastructure protection. Distinguished lawmakers, the Renew Hope agenda provides a strategic policy direction that prioritizes economic revitalization, transparency, and national security. The realization of these objectives within the petroleum sector is essentially linked to the resilience of our critical infrastructure protection system that must be intelligence-led, technically driven, and collectively executed. Aligning with this mandate, the Department of State Services, comprising very dedicated officers, have continued to work covertly and overtly in prioritizing the protection of critical infrastructure through vigilance, innovations, and collaboration with relevant security agencies. Pipeline surveillance with relevant security agencies, pipeline surveillance contractors, and other critical stakeholders. Let me specifically recognize and elogize operatives who lay down their lives in the protection of critical assets, Suffice to say that they are not just protecting the assets, but safeguarding the overall well-being of the citizens. In conclusion, sustaining the protection of critical petroleum infrastructures requires a whole of government and a whole of society approach, anchored on credible intelligence, strong political will, and active stakeholder engagement. On behalf of the officers and men of the Department of Civil Services, I commend the Joint Committee for its support to security agencies, particularly the intelligence community. I also appreciate the commitment of the committees in addressing these critical issues and for providing this platform for constructive dialogue. It is my firm belief that the outcome of this engagement will significantly contribute to strengthening Nigeria's economic security architecture. Thank you for your attention as I wish you fruitful deliberation. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, sir. Moving on quickly, as directed by the chair, permit me at this point to invite the Commandant General, Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Professor Ahmed Abubakar Audi, MNI, OFR, ably represented by the Assistant Commandant General of the Corps, Dr. Benito Eze, MNI. Let's appreciate him, please. Thank you.
The representative of the Senate President, the representative of the Speaker, Honorable House of Representatives, members of the distinguished Senate that are here, and Honorable House members, the representative of the service chiefs here present, the stakeholders, good afternoon. I am deeply honored to appear before this distinguished joint committee on behalf of my Commandant General, Professor Ahmed Abubakar Audi, MNI OFR, who is unavoidably absent to present the operational realities, challenges, and strategies intervention of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps in protecting Nigerian critical energy infrastructure, which is germane and central to Nigeria's socio-economic development and national security. As a result of the time, I have little slides which I will plead that you just look at it. The outline of my presentation is there in the slide. Honorable Chairman, distinguished members of the Joint Committee on Petroleum Resources, thank you for this invitation to brief you on the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense role in protecting Nigerian energy assets and advancing the renewable energy agenda. The first ever parliamentary roundtable on pipeline surveillance and crude oil theft is a historic moment for accountability and collaboration. As at April 2026, Nigeria's production has risen to 1.84 million barrels per day. This includes condensate. This aligns exactly with the conservative budget benchmark for 2026, which is a sharp recovery from the February dip to 1.31 million barrels per day due to maintenance issues, not insecurity. Production has now exceeded 1.8 million barrels per day for 2 consecutive months. Then I go to the role of Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps as a lead agency in the protection of critical national assets and infrastructure in Nigeria. Firstly, the surveillance and protection of pipeline and flow stations under the Petroleum Industrial Act 2021, and secondly, the anti-vandalizing operations. Then thirdly, the investigation and prosecution of economic sabotage. Lastly, among others, is the collaboration with the military under the Operation Delta Safe with NUPRC, the NNPCCL, the private security consultants, and the host community. Our institutional commitment is best seen in our new digital command and control center on the Niger Delta. This center gives us real-time domain awareness, monitoring of hydrocarbon activities, vessel movements, and pipeline integrity. This approach is a game changer, and we are extending collaboration through a whole of society approach, working round the clock with approved private security consultants. Distinguished members, let me give you two concrete successes. One, the pipeline vandalism incidents have dropped by over 40% compared to what we had in the past years. Secondly, we have discovered and destroyed 60% more illegal refining sites, which means we are detecting more and disrupting more. The Nigerian Security and Civil Defense strategy to achieve the 3 million barrels a day towards 2030 as anticipated by the renewed hope agenda of Mr. President. For the purpose of my presentation, I have the energy security as conceptual framework. Energy security refers to the uninterrupted availability of energy sources at an affordable cost. It encompasses protection against disruption caused by criminal activities, technical failures, or geopolitical factors. Secondly, the critical national asset and infrastructure, which includes the pipeline, refineries, depots, gas plants, and power installations essential for economic survival and national stability. The crude oil theft and pipeline vandalism, these are illegal activities involving the sabotage of pipelines and unauthorized extraction of crude oil, often carried out by organized criminal networks. Strategic importance of this meeting. One, it will help majorly to contribute to national revenue and GDP. Secondly, primary source of foreign exchange earning. Thirdly, critical driver of industrialization and electricity generation. And lastly, key determinant of investor confidence. The core mandate of NSCDC, the core mandate of NSCDC with the act that established us in 2003 and 2007 as amended, that gives us the power to arrest and prosecute any person reasonably suspected to have committed any act of vandalism in line with extant laws, so as to protect the pipeline and gas installations, conduct anti-vandalism operations, gather intelligence and conduct threat analysis, arrest, prosecute oil theft offenders, collaborate with security agencies and stakeholders. Operationally, the Corps deploys personnel across high-risk zones, conduct patrols and engage local communities in intelligence gathering. The Corps establishes a crack squad to enforce this mandate and has continued to train and retrain them with relevant skills and equipment to be able to face the dynamics of oil theft. We have also engaged in intelligence-led operations, joint task force collaborations, private surveillance collaborations, community engagement initiatives, arrest and prosecution of offenders. Also, it is necessary to itemize our key challenges. One, highly organized syndicates deploy sophisticated methods resulting in massive revenue losses, and we need highly sophisticated equipment that are electronically driven so as to support us. Also, we need technological infrastructures because we have challenges in this aspect. Considering the difficulty of the terrain, we need articulated operational mobility to enable us navigate these challenges. Then we also have one of our major challenges, inadequate manpower. Through this committee, we will request that you help us with increased manpower. We are understaffed. NSCDC is about 63,000 personnel, and this particular aspect of infrastructure protection is just one aspect of the assignment we do. So we need more personnel manpower. Also, the challenge of legal and judicial limitation is there, and community relation challenges. The impact analysis, economic impact, billions of dollars are lost annually, reduced government revenue, increased cost of production. Then the environmental impacts, the oil spills causing ecosystem destruction, health hazards for host communities. Then we have the security impact, which is, among others, strengthening of organized crime networks, making host communities vulnerable, threat to national stability. Gaps and institutional weakness. Inadequate funding is one, and the budgetary allocation is one of our challenge. Limited deployment of advanced technology, weak interagency coordination framework, absence of specialized courts for energy crimes, because most of the offenders of this criminal act, most of the time they spend a lot of time in the court. Even if you are not well equipped, the case can easily be struck out. Then we are requesting for specialized courts for these energy crimes. Also, insufficient training in modern security techniques. We want this Honorable House to help us so that we can get enough fund to get more training and better one. Strategic recommendations. Technology-driven surveillance, deployment of drones and satellite monitoring with well-equipped command and control center, installation of smart pipeline sensors, establishment of centralized command centers. 2, legal and policy reforms, creation of special courts for energy-related crimes, strengthening penalties to serve as deterrent. Not when somebody commits a crime that will disrupt a system, he will just be given 2 months or 3 months or little fine to pay. Then capacity building, continuous training in intelligence and modern security systems, recruitment of specialized personnel. Community engagement framework, the need for advocacy and sensitization of host communities will not be underscored. There is every need for us to lay more emphasis on sensitizing these communities for them to understand the need impact of their contribution. Then, public-private partnership, collaboration with oil companies for funding and logistics is very necessary. I have to say it here that these oil companies are not supporting NSCDC. So we need support from the oil companies too. Alignment with the Renewed Hope agenda, the proposed strategies directly support the Renewed Hope agenda by reducing crude oil theft and revenue losses, enhancing production capacity, and improving investor confidence. In conclusion, the protection of Nigeria energy assets is a strategic national priority that requires urgent and sustained intervention. While the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps has demonstrated commitment in executing its mandate, the scale and sophistication of threats necessitate stronger legislative backing, enhancing funding and modernization of operational framework. A coordinated technology-driven and community-inclusive approach is essential to winning the battle against energy infrastructure sabotage and ensuring the success of the Renewed Hope agenda of Mr. President. The Joint Senate and House Committee, please, we are requesting that you support us in increased funding of our operations. Also, facilitate legal reforms for speedy prosecution and assist us to promote policies that encourage technology adoption and strengthen oversight on energy security initiatives. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you very much, the representative of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps. Thank you. Your Excellencies, Mr. Chairman, Co-Chairman, honorable members, distinguished invited stakeholders, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen, let me reiterate that this parliamentary roundtable is to appreciate the successes achieved so far in protecting our pipeline, identify the persistent challenges, and most importantly, to work together in charting a collective path towards solutions. At this point, Your Excellency, permit me to invite for the technical briefing. I will invite the Managing Director, Tantita Security Services, High Chief Pondi Ebomobowe Kesti. I hope I am right. Thank you very much. You'll be giving us the technical briefing. Thank you. Let's appreciate him again, please. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Your Excellency, permit me to stand on the well-established protocol. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Pondi Bimombowe Kestin. I'm the MD, Tantita Security Services Nigeria Limited. Before I continue, I want to thank the Senate and House Committee, the Joint Senate and House Committee, for putting this program together to bring all of us here to discuss this very, very important issue that has been bedeviling our great country, Nigeria. In 2022, we were saddled with the responsibility to secure core critical oil and gas infrastructure in Nigeria. And a very, very opportunity, an opportunity that we appreciate till tomorrow. That's why we are very, very grateful to Mr. President for allowing us this opportunity. Without this platform, nobody would have known what we are capable of. The reason being that we are of the creek and we have been positioned as people who are always going to be of the creek. One thing that people do not take into consideration is that taking people from the creek to do and protect the infrastructures in the creek could actually give us a better understanding and better results. At Tantita, we say we do not protect the asset from the people. We protect the asset with the people. And that has given us the results that we have been earning till today. In 2020, Nigeria was producing about 1.8. At 2021, it was about 1.6. Then in 2022, it dropped to 1.1, including condensate. Then we awarded the contract in August, and we started. Today, we're about 1.4, including condensate. And we can still do better. Why can we do better? Because we still have short-in barrels. We need to invest more in the sector. We have worked so far with all the GSAs, the Nigerian Army, the Civil Defense Corps, the Navy, the police, the DSS. Everybody have been very, very wonderful. And in the course of these past 3 years, we have lost both soldiers, we have lost both our personnel, we have also lost Civil Defense Corps members, and it has not been a very easy journey, a very, very tedious journey. But today, one thing is certain. We are back to where we were before. The issue is no longer about oil being stolen. It's now about us investing more to achieve the president's agenda of increased production. And so, I want to call on with your permission, sir, Your Excellency, I want to call on my Executive Director, Technical and Operation, Captain Waridi Eniswo, to come and run us through the technical details of what happens in the field, what we went through from day one to where we are now, what are our successes, what are our challenges, and what is the way forward. We have invested in technology, we have invested in human capital development. The so-called decentralization that everybody is shouting about, we have decentralized by awarding contract to everybody in every area. There is no way we could have done this without the involvement of every one community that are stakeholders in this operation. And like I really appreciated what you said, GCO, that fragmentization of this process is not going to help us. It's going to further push us downward. And that is one thing we should avoid. Thank you very much, Captain Waridi. You can continue.
Okay. The representative of the Senate. The representative of the Speaker, the respected chairman of this event, the distinguished team, members of the House, members of our armed forces. My name is Captain Waridi Eniswo, and I wish to stand on the existing protocol established by our Managing Director. I happen to be the Executive Director, Operations and Technical. So that puts me on the forefront of this whole mission. Now what we have here is a slide showing how this presentation is going to go. We want to first of all look at graphs of the pre-production figures so that people will appreciate where we're coming from. A brief of the surveillance contract, our approach and methodology, our mid-contractual graph, because we needed to see whether we're going in the right direction. How corporate social responsibility has also helped us, and how the introduction of technology has also helped us. Next slide, please. Now, let us look at what brought about this contract, because a lot of people do not understand. This contract was not just a giveaway. There were certain reasons why this whole thing came about. In the year 2000, which was the COVID year, surprisingly, 2000 was when the country was locked down. Nigeria had the highest production. What does that tell us? Definitely there was human interference, because everybody was locked down at home. Nobody was out there to steal oil. Look at the figures again. By 2021, the lockdown was lifted, and the oil production, instead of going up when people returned to work, started going down. By 2022, it went down further, even deep further, because people wanted to recover from their losses in the COVID period. Now, you may not appreciate this because the bar graph. Next slide. That was the crude oil production going down. That was the total. You can see the arrow all pointing downwards. And if the government had not done something, the economy would have been in trouble. And that was at August, and that's where this contract was born. Next slide. Okay. Overview of the contract. It was a surveillance contract spanning over 2,000 kilometers of pipeline on land. It included a little bit of the brackish waters, so which means the coastal region, because that's where we have all our oil platforms. And it did stir up a lot of dust. We've talked about those dust a little bit. My MD has mentioned a fair bit of it. And most of the dust that the contract stirred up was coming from those, if we say 80 to 90%, those with personal interest in stealing the oil, as you will see later. And from there, we took a whole lot of modifications to see what was going on. And I would want you to pay particular attention very, very well, to why there was so much interest in it. Now, for those who don't know, it was not just a giveaway, as I said. It had monthly bonuses. So if we do not hit a target, we don't get what we want. So it's not just something for the boys or something. No, it wasn't that. On top of it, the assets were spewed across 7 states, except Ondo State, which had no pipeline. But the problem of Ondo State was that the internationals had local agents who were bribing the boys along the coast so that they steal oil from the platforms. So they were coming directly to connect their ships and then steal from the platforms. Next slide. First, we had to carry out feasibility studies on this problem, because it's not that we didn't know the problem, but the enormity of the problem can only be appreciated from the air, not on ground. Only from the air. Hit the button again and let's see what we saw first. That's a place called Azuzama in Bayelsa State. This place, there was free flow of crude oil, sales going on. Participation by everyone in the community. This was their job, nothing else. Very brazen, no fear of anybody, no fear of even law enforcement. We had women, children, everybody selling. You will see crude oil storages from above. Even the plants around the area, including trees, were dying because of hydrocarbon. They couldn't survive. But on the ground, you will find massive amount of canoes, boats that were carrying oil. Next slide. That's what one of the storages looks like when you come low down. You'll find a crude oil storage belonging to one person, about 5 times the size of an Olympic swimming pool, all full of crude oil. One person selling. Next slide. Look at the oil wells, illegal. All these holes were dug in this country without anybody seeing. Thousands of them, all loaded with crude oil. Would anyone believe that this can happen anywhere in the world except this place? Next slide. Even from space, you can see the damage done. This is a satellite imagery. This is not from an aeroplane. So from anywhere in the world, if you have access to satellite imagery, you will see what is happening in Nigeria. In some of these places, grass will not even grow for 100 years again because the crude oil is so deep on the ground, nothing grows. Next slide. Now we had to come down on ground to take a good look. Now we are only able to do this at this time because of this contract. Because before this contract, if you approach these places, you can be rest assured you will take gunfire or somebody will ask you who authorized you to come near this place. That is how far their authority goes. You can see how they are able to use tarpaulin to protect the crude oil from going back into the ground. They are protecting their losses. Next slide. This was our first find. This is directly on the pipeline right of way belonging to Ajib. You see that guy walking down? That was the contractor paid to protect that particular pipeline. There was a contractor paid to protect this line. And just right beside the line, the vandals were able to dig a hole to the pipe and create canals for kilometers into their storages in the bush. The crude oil now flows, and they do this in collusion. Make no mistakes. They know when this line is pressurized. So the moment the line is under pressure, they take their share through this crude oil canal, pipe it to their own storages, and you will see what they do. It doesn't end here. Next slide. See how it goes. For kilometers, all in this country. Next slide. Now watch this. This camera is coming from somebody we posed as a buyer. They had breached this line. They know when the line is going to have oil. And you will see they sell crude oil here per bucket. Per bucket. They fetch and sell in the bag. You see all the bags there. So business friendly that even women, you know, the Nigerian women are naturally good traders. They are involved. They trade in everything, as you will see. And we raided this place. Please hit the button. Okay. Right. And people come and collect these bags in vehicles. Even in boats. You can see my sister there. She's hit it big. Very happy. Please hit the button. Very successful trip. So when you see these bags in the Niger Delta or in our rivers, you will think, oh, maybe it's a farm produce or something. It's not. It's loaded with crude oil. Next slide. What is it? Local transportation. Sometimes what they do is when they've loaded these bags, they give it to farmers, like the women again, to carry in bicycles. You think they are carrying cassava. It's not cassava. It's crude oil inside. So these are some of the women we saw on bicycles. How would you think you can carry crude oil on bicycles? It's only in Nigeria you can carry crude oil on bicycles. Even keke napep, they will go and get branded bags like Bua sugar. Please press the button, press the play button. Good. When you look at the back of the keke napep, you think it's carrying Bua sugar. Now watch. When you interrogate them, that's Bua sugar. It's crude oil that is inside. Next slide. Sometimes they carry this bag to the river mouth. Press the play button for the next image. thousands of these bags, and then they load them into GP tanks, and they carry them to places like Cameroon, or even going to load ships at sea who does not want to come close. Next slide. Just when you think you had it all. This is very common on the east-west road around Patani and all of that. When you look at these trucks, you think they are carrying food products. When you open the back of the truck, what you find is crude oil, bags. Very, very common. And you find most of these trucks will never display their number plates, and they will go past all the security. Nobody disturbs them. Nobody disturbs them. Next slide. Good. You see this one? Carries fertilizer. In fact, sometimes when you look at the smartness of these people, I wish we could harness this smartness towards something good. We will be a stronger nation. Now, when you remove the fertilizer, you will find a tank inside. That tank is full of crude oil as well. Please press play. So you see the tank, when we strip it open, you see the crude oil tank right inside, but outside is all fertilizer. Next slide. You see how we started? And at the bottom of the tank, you have a discharge valve, specifically modified for this purpose. Next slide. Now, sometimes what these trucks do, even on the legal ones, there is even the legal side of the stealing. Not only the illegal, even on the legal side of the stealing. You would find the trucks that leave all these so-called companies that are registered, that they are carrying HPFO, one thing or the other, to somewhere. They will register those trucks with a number plate. After registering those trucks with a number plate, they will duplicate those number plates, maybe 6 number plates. And on the federal documentation, you have authorized 1 number plate. One will follow East-West Road with the same number plate. Another one will follow Abia with the same number plate. All will follow different direction. All one document manufactured for different trucks. Next slide. Okay. Wellheads. What these canoes do, or what the owners of these boats do, is they go to these wellheads, uncouple the discharge valve, connect hoses to them, and start pumping crude oil into these canoes. They don't stay there. They time themselves when the canoe is going to be full, and then they come back later. But far more often than not, if that wellhead is very pressurized, some of the crude will go overboard, which is why you are seeing a lot of that pollution. Can you press the play button? Now look at the side. That is how they take crude oil from the wellheads. This is sometimes what we see. Next slide. See some of those canoes? That's how they carry the oil and go. Next slide. You will see these trucks parked on the side of the road, thinking, oh, well, maybe they are doing something else. Now let's follow this hose and see where this hose takes us to. Keep playing. In this case, we are even lucky because it is daytime. In the night, you can't even see this. You see the boat? You see that? It's taking oil from the boat. Press play on the next one. You will see a situation whereby what these people do, sometimes they go and pay the community to break pipelines. When they break pipelines, they pretend to be cleaners of that pipeline. They bring in vehicles branded in government nature that they are cleaning up, and they steal the oil and go. In this situation, you will find that this is directly on the pipeline right of way, where they insert a valve, and then they open the ground and coupled the hose and start filling their trucks. Next slide. You see how pressurized that is? Illegal discharge point. Now they are becoming very smart. They know that Antita is everywhere. They are now planting CCTV in the bush. CCTV in the bush to give them early warning systems that operatives are coming. They have command and control centers. They have even gotten to the point whereby they have local missile launchers. So if you come by air, they can fire you. Next slide. This was a very major find on the Shell pipeline. We spent 2 weeks bailing this lake dry to uncover the illegality in this place. Next slide. You can see that small line. That line goes 5 kilometers into the ocean where ships come in both in the day and the night to come and take free oil and go back. It will shock you to know that this activity was going on for 9 years. So you know how much oil you would have lost in 9 years. Next slide. This is to appreciate the length of that illegal connection. I think it is one of the longest illegal connections we ever saw. Went for more than 5 kilometers. Next slide. Just when we thought we had seen all the illegal connections, we built another lake again. And we found another one that connects to the Afremo platform operated by Shell at the time. That Afremo platform is supposed to supply oil into Nigeria, but they converted it to an export terminal. Illegal. Next slide. Look at the ocean. This is Nigeria. They have uncoupled this wellhead in the ocean, and they were negotiating with Ghanaian buyers. The guy was arguing with them that it is water. The Nigerians were saying it is oil. That's how we were able to get this intelligence video. And to the right is one of the ships that normally breaches the Nigerian exclusive economic zone to come and steal oil. It's called the Tura 2. It was one of the first set of ships that fell. Next slide. That was when we escorted the Tura 2 back after the arrest. Next slide. This was the first ship that we got. It was so confident after stealing oil in Nigeria for over 12 years, it still was very confident to come into the creeks to come and steal oil from Chevron's, one of the pipeline. I think the name of that ship was the Diema. It has changed names several times, but I think the one we got when it was arrested was called the Diema. That was the one that was destroyed by our government security forces at the time to deter people from bringing assets like this into the Niger Delta. Next slide. Just when you think that your oil pipelines are safe, these guys went into the gas lines. This is a gas line. Now, for those of us who have studied physics, know what is called Venturi effect. I don't want to sound like a pipeline breacher here, though. I'm just going to explain what happens. They saw the pipeline here. They tie pieces of cloth to it. And as the gas pisses out under high speed, it cools and then condenses into liquid and falls into buckets. That's how they collect gas. that is liquefied. So this is their own form of doing what we call liquefied natural gas. Illegal. And this goes on for kilometers. Next slide. This is a typical illegal refinery. This is a typical illegal refinery that you've seen, which brews oil. And these were going on for years, which was why pre-2022 you had diesel for about 220 naira per liter. They normally take the oil from here, go and mix it with ships in Lagos, and tell you the oil is from Europe, and they pump it into the fuel stations. It was not from Europe. It was all from Niger Delta. Now you are buying the one from Europe. That's why you're getting it at over 1,000. Next slide. Corporate social responsibility. We've tried enough. We've done so much. A lot of people who think, oh, we're eating this money alone. That is not correct. We try as much as possible to build centers for our government security agencies that have supported us. We support markets even, just in case they smell something or they see something, they say something. So we've done so much, from the military camps to the paramilitary to schools here and there and everything. Next slide. Now let's look at the mid figures after all of this. The 2000 figure still stands at 1.83. Now you see that from where we took it up from August, we're now climbing. If you notice, August 2022 was there. Press the button again, press the play button. Good. Press it once more. Right, we're now beginning to see results. We're now climbing back up. If you don't appreciate this, please press the next slide so that you see it better where we're going. Hit the button. Good. Coming down to 2022, press the button. Further down, and this is where we took over. We're now beginning to go up. So you're now beginning to see the results of this contract. Next slide, please. We didn't just achieve this far. We felt it was now time to deploy technology. And deployment of technology is the most difficult thing because we don't have the technology. We have to go to other countries to buy. And one problem you're going to have is even if you have the money, some countries will not sell you technology to do this job. Why? Because their refineries are benefactors of what is happening here. But we are able to penetrate a lot of places to be able to do this for you. Next slide. We also have to partner with several companies and several countries so that if one person does not work, we will be able to move with another. If one person takes sanction against us, we'll be able to proceed. And today we are proud to say that Tantita is the private company with the highest amount of drone fleets in the whole of Africa. You can go and check it out. We have the highest amount of technology fleet over this job. Next slide. We are not stopping there because sometimes these technologies improve. We are now bringing in drones that can stay airborne for 24 hours. 24 hours. They are tethered drones. We can deploy them anywhere. Next slide. And they are very movable because we want to improve these figures better. Next slide. We can even carry our drones on the back of trucks that are mini command and control centers. We can operate from anywhere. Deploy the drone from the back of the hillocks, and it will be able to telemeter the information to our centers. Next slide. Now we have night vision capability. Before, these ships used to come to the coast of Nigeria to steal in the night because they feel nobody will see them. This was one such situation. You see those hot areas? That's where the illegal oil is going to. And this particular platform is the Sangana platform south of Bayelsa. In fact, they come to this location because of one thing. The oil that comes out of this platform does not need refining. No need to refine it. It's already refined by nature. You can pump it directly into your cars, and you will still have that sock squeeze, bang, glue. The car will work. So they always come here. So you see, they don't know the drone is overhead. And you see those white dots on top? They are the heads of human beings, because the head is usually warmer than any part of the body. So the drone can pick it up. Next slide. Now, even at night, humans who go into the pipeline right of way, if you look carefully, you will see some tiny white dots that will be moving around. They are human beings at night. We can pick them up. We have that capacity to pick them up. Next slide. Now, they moved from smoking their refineries, because if they use wood or crude or oil, we're able to see the smoke in the daytime. So what did they do? They now start using gas to heat the illegal refinery so you don't see smoke. So this is one such situation, but then the drone is about to pick it up, or it's got the capacity to pick it up and tell us that there's an illegal refinery going on there. Next slide. One of the things that the drone has done for us is safety. You see this location? And I want you to watch this video carefully. It's a very important video, especially for those of you who pressurize us to say, oh, stakeholders, so start taking people. I want you to watch this video. You see that boy running out of the bush? Watch him very well. Watch him. Watch him. That's why we zeroed in on him. Look at his face. Have you seen a guy that makes or puts on makeup before? He went into the bush to wear makeup. He was one of those persons who were pressurized to take from community. We were paying him, and he was still stealing oil. So when he saw us coming with the drone, he ran into the bush to rub powder on his face so we wouldn't identify him. There you go. Next slide. And they are not just running away. Watch this one. You know what's in his hands? A rifle. He's now ready to fire at us. And not only is he ready to fire, they're all in different locations. Next slide. So you will see how technology has helped us. They are now ready with their AK-47 to ambush us. Next slide. This is all in this country. It's nowhere else. This is not a movie. Next slide. So anybody who thinks they can do this job, you might want to think again. We are now able to send that information to the security forces giving us support. We seize this opportunity to thank them, to not follow the center of the road, because the boys are waiting to shoot us down. Next slide. They don't only steal oil on the surface, they also steal oil underwater. So you see that as the situation changes, we also have to change. We have to deploy underwater drones also. Underwater drones. Next slide. This is one of the testing facilities where we test our underwater drones. Next slide. These drones can work in lakes, work in rivers, work in seas, and make no mistakes. They cost millions of dollars. This is one of the tests we carried out. Next slide. Now, far more often than not, people accuse our operatives of so many things. And we say, okay, you know what we're going to do? We're going to now start putting body cameras on our staff and the patrol. So this is one of the body cameras, not just only for their own safety, for also community engagement. So we don't hear stories that, oh, your staff came to my community to do this or do that. So to the right, you see those red dots? Can you press the play button? We are now able to see our men on ground move. And even the trajectory is all drawn on the map. Anything they say is also recorded and transmitted to us. Now we have a very big issue. You can see that we have a very high influx of information coming in. Now, how do we process this information? Next slide. We have two modern control or command and control centers, which we have completed. This is the first one, which is operative. Next one is even more sophisticated. Please, next slide. And here we can process all the information that is coming in. Process and then make decisions. Next slide. Now let's look at the oil figures now. Keep hitting. Now you see that never at a time in this contract came down. We're only going up. We're only going up. You will appreciate it better in the next slide. Watch where we're coming from. See that? And we're going up. Next slide. We have lost men. Gallant officers. After so much training and so much dedication. All because people want this crude oil for free. I think last year alone we lost 15 civil defense officers. It is not an easy battle. Next slide. Now, as we speak today, look at the oil figures. For the first time, we have surpassed the 2020 figures. 2020 was 1.83, and as at last month, it was 1.84 million barrels a day. Please press the play button. That figure was not our figure, it was by the federal government. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Distinguished, we don't clap in Parliament. Senator Kawu, you are yielded the floor.
As a representative of the leadership of the National Assembly, President of the Senate and Speaker, House of Representatives, my colleagues, Chairman of the petroleum-related committees, our distinguished members of the National Assembly, our invited guests, more especially from agencies related to petroleum and security agencies who are participating in this milestone achievement, other distinguished invited guests, gentlemen of the press, ladies and gentlemen, very good afternoon. Of course, even before today, our relevant committees, because of our constitutional responsibilities of oversight, we used to contact some of the agencies and some of the companies through the agencies to hear what they are doing for Nigeria. And now, seeing is belief, from the presentation of the security agencies, more especially the service chiefs, the NNPC, and of course, under the able leadership of the GCEO, and the company who is handling this very important assignment, Tatita Security Services Limited, on behalf of the leadership, membership of the National Assembly, having satisfied and convinced with the presentation and what you are doing collectively to sustain the effort in securing Nigerian energy's pipeline, the very lifeline of our national economic survival. The evidence before this committee, joint committees, demonstrated that the engagement of dedicated surveillance provided crude oil production had fallen to catastrophically low level as a result of rampant theft and pipeline vandalism. The subsequent and current intervention has produced a variable result, a significant increase in crude production in Nigeria, a reduction in sabotage incidents, and demonstrable improvement in national revenue from petroleum production. Of course, the National Assembly, under the leadership of our able leader, our Senate President, the Speaker of the House, the entire leadership, the Chairman and membership of the National Assembly, this committee resolved that these agencies and providers has earned and hereby receive a full confidence, commendation, support, and we identify ourselves as legislators, as representatives of Nigeria, with what you are doing. Therefore, I am moving and calling for the committees or the members of this National Assembly to lay or support or show their support to their commitment to the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I so move, Mr. Chairman. Thank you.
The motion has been moved. I call on Honorable Dum Diko to second the motion as moved.
The representative of the Senate President, representative of the Right Honorable the Speaker, my dear colleagues, co-chairman, permit me to be on my feet. I ought to be sitting down. It is important that we gather here today. My name is Right Honorable Dumnamene Deko. I represent the good people of Gokana Federal Constituency. I'm an Ogoni man from Rivers State and chairman of the House Committee on Host Communities. I rise most respectfully to second the motion. But having seen all the presentations and all the discussions we've had here today, it is clear, it is evident that there is an increase in our production and that there is a reduction in oil theft and that our pipelines are becoming safer, which by the grace of God also means that the level of degradation in the host communities have reduced. On that note, I beg to second this motion, and I so second.
The motion has been moved and seconded. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. Kau, you wanted to say something? You wanted to introduce yourself?
Yes. Maybe just for apology, I came late because of the other national engagement. My name is Suleiman Abrahaman Kau Sumaila. I am representing Kano South Senatorial District by the grace of the Senate and the Almighty Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. I am the Chairman, Senate Committee on Downstream. Thank you.
Yeah. Oh, okay. The representative of the Senate President,
as well as the representative of Mr. Speaker. Chairman of Oil and Gas Committee, the heads of security agencies here present, the able team of Tantita Security, led by Chief Kenstin Pondi, members of the committee, of the joint committee. My name is Honorable Prince Henry Odianose Okoje. I represent the good people of Eastern, Northeast, and Southeast Federal Constituency. I'm from Edo State, and I am the Chairman House Committee on Petroleum Resources Ministry, the very committee that oversees the pipeline infrastructure. I listened carefully to the presentation ably made by the representative of Tantita, and I would say that Tantita has recorded a lot of success. Without mincing words, they have secured our nation's assets, they have protected our pipeline. And I say because of them, the oil revenue has increased from the level it was before. So we should give them a hand of applause, please. On that note, as a joint committee, I hereby move that this joint committee pass a vote of absolute confidence on Tantita and the NNPCL because they have collectively demonstrated and moved Nigeria crude oil production from critical depressed level to a trajectory of sustained recovery. With documented interception of illegal vessels, dismantling all illegal connections, and the arrest of hundreds of suspected vandals and crude oil thieves. On the strength of this evidence, the committee do hereby declare Tantita and the security agents, of course, a company of strategic national economic interest. A designation that reflects the indispensable role this company plays in protecting the infrastructure upon which Nigeria's fiscal survival depends. These committees further resolve that the surveillance contract is not merely a commercial arrangement, but a critical national security infrastructure. And this is continuation that the highest interest of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. On this note, I hereby move that Tantita and the security agent, including NNPCL, be given in collaboration with security agency, be passed and be vote of confidence on this agency. Thank you very much.
The motion has been moved. I call on Honorable Blessing Amadi to second the motion.
I will. Yeah, good afternoon.
What is the next thing?
I hereby stand on the existing protocol. My name is Blessing Chigoramadi, representing the good people of Port Harcourt Federal Constituency to River State. I want to second the motion, but with an amendment that the existing company is doing very well, but I'm from River State. They should also partner with the Rivers people so that they can be part of this success. Thank you very much. So second.
The motion has been moved and seconded as initially raised. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have it. I call on the chairman, Petroleum Downstream. Please, one house, one house. I call on the chairman, Petroleum Downstream, to speak on the purported petitions. with this, I yield the floor to you.
House of Reps.
Thank you. Thank you, Joint Chair. Before you rule, I will just run them at once, so you can rule at once. One, the Joint Committee knows that a petition will receive from Niger Delta Stakeholders Consultative Forum titled Emergency Demand for Dismantling of the Surveillance Contract Monopoly and State-by-State Decentralization. The petitioners were duly invited on multiple occasions to appear before the Joint Committee to defend and substantiate the allegation contained in their petition. Despite this repeated and formal invitation, the petitioners failed to appear on every occasion, including today, offering no valid explanation for their continued absence. Before you put the question, Chair, petition 2, the Joint Committee knows that a petition was also received from the Forum of Former Militants for Peace and Unity in the Niger Delta on urgent demand for immediate decentralization, transparency, and competitive procurement in the surveillance contract. The petitioners were duly invited on multiple occasions to appear before the Joint Committee to defend and substantiate the allegations contained in their petition. Despite this repeated and formal invitation, including invitation to appear before this Joint Committee today, the petitioners failed to appear on every occasion, offering no valid explanation for their continued absence. Before I invite the Chair to rule the last one, petition 3, the Joint Committee notes that a petition was received for Pan-Nigerian Anti-Corruption Advocacy Coalition titled Demand for Forensic Audit, Accountability, and Anti-Corruption Compliance in the Award and Administration of Nigeria Pipeline Surveillance Contract. The petitioners were duly invited on multiple occasions to appear before the Joint Committee to defend and substantiate the allegations contained in their petition. Despite this repeated and formal invitation, including invitation to appear before this Joint Committee today, the petitioners failed to appear on every occasion, offering no valid explanation for their continued absence. Joint Chair, I invite you to rule.
Honorable Ikenga, you have to move a motion in line with your petition.
No, I invite you to put it to question that we dismiss and then you rule. So,
if it is a motion,
it's not a motion. Is the procedure?
I will call Honorable Mutu to second the motion as moved by Honorable Ikenga.
Okay. Okay, thank you, Joint Chair. I do move that the Joint Committee do dismiss these petitions for inability of the petitioners to defend their petition. Right. I so move, Joint Chair.
I so second as moved. This motion has been moved and seconded. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those against say nay. They are not here. In line with the presentations here, I want to thank all our service chiefs who made it here, the MD of Tantita. This is a novel roundtable discussion, and we have resolved to be doing this quarterly so that Nigerians will know what is going on in our oil and gas sector. We will always communicate with you, and we implore you to find time to attend this roundtable discussion. I hereby declare this session closed. Thank you, and God bless all of us.
Thank you very much. On behalf of this Joint Committee, we thank you for honoring our invitation and wish you safe trip back to your various destinations.